There is about 70% of nurses or practitioners that get certified in an aesthetic service and end up never using it because they get discouraged.
So if you're just starting, if you've been in practice for 20 years, we have a piece-by-piece system to where it meets you exactly where you are. And then all the steps within the software tell you how to grow from there.
This is the Aesthetics Growth Podcast.
Hey everyone, it's Bref, and I'm super excited to be back with another episode of the Aesthetics Growth Podcast. And today I'm joined by two entrepreneurs who saw a major opportunity and a gap within the aesthetics industry and actually decided to do something about it. Ashlan Greenfield and Jenna Bichler are the co-founders of Novi Society, an all-in-one ecosystem that's designed to help aesthetic providers to launch, grow, and scale successful businesses. Combining expertise in aesthetics technology, compliance education, and provider support, they're tackling a challenge that many providers face, but few are actually taking action or talking about. So we're going to dive into the industry gaps. We're going to have some fun on the show today, and we're going to welcome Ashlan and Jenna to the Aesthetics Growth Podcast. Thanks for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm excited to have you here and to unpack as much as we can on the show here because you're doing some very, very exciting things. But let's start at the beginning. What made both of you look at the industry and to basically found and get started with the Novi Society?
Go ahead, Jenna.
So I am a consultant by trade. I do consult with the aesthetic industry. I think that when I was doing that, it's a really tough industry to actually consult for with regard to the way that medical rules are written because they are about clear as mud. And so when I just kept going further and further into this and identifying the holes and the gaps and having to put all of the pieces together on your own, especially for a new aesthetic practice or med spa, it's very hard to do. You have the attorneys, you have to figure out your EMR, you have to figure out your compliance trail, so many things. And so to have the idea to put all of those things together and bring in, your vendors, your compliance, your patient interface and everything, so that we can actually get these aesthetic practices and med spas compliant and up and running in for a fraction of the time that it would take them to kind of put all the pieces together on their own.
Awesome. And Ashlan, you've maybe got a little bit of different direction here, but
Yeah.
let's hear your story as well.
Yeah, so I got started with the software side of things. So similar to what Jenna was touching on and all of the holes and things in the industry, I started building national software platforms for aesthetics. And there wasn't really one that held everything that someone would need to be compliant in the industry. Everything was pieced together. They were using multiple different softwares, paying for different platforms, like Jenna said. And I wanted to create not only a place to house all of those different pieces of the puzzle, but to be fully compliant. We want to be a helping hand to everyone in the industry, not a competitor. We want to be the standard for the aesthetic industry.
I love it. And I love the fact that there's two very, very different backgrounds, but coming together to combine and solve a lot of challenges and issues and problems. How did you first start hearing about them and noticing them? What was that noise or murmuring in the marketplace that brought you both together to start building and solving those problems and eventually launching Novi Society?
Yeah, so I think for me, I have been on the sales side of it. I've been, again, on the consulting side for new clinics, or new med spas. And there is about 70% of nurses or practitioners that get certified in an aesthetic service and end up never using it because they get discouraged. They don't know what to do, how to put all of these things that we've put together. And so just hearing all of the stories and, seeing people have all of these certifications and then have no idea what to do with them or how to get started, or someone that has been practicing. I talked to a lady this morning. She's been practicing for 20 years doing IV therapy under a medical director using a software. But when we got into how she was doing that and how she was charting and all of those things, she was like, "Wait a second. I don't I, I don't know how I'm doing this, or I don't know if this is compliant." And so that being said, she's in the process of switching over right away. But somebody that's been doing IV therapy for 20 years, if nobody's telling you the industry changes or the law changes or the enforcement changes and all the things, it's impossible to keep up. So you need somebody on your side on the back end, keeping you informed and making sure that you are above board.
Mhm.
And that's what we do.
Got it. Got it. And for someone who maybe doesn't know like even where to get started, so they're maybe they're providing certain services, but they want to start injecting. They need a medical director at their practice. They're kind of looking to open their own space, but they're not sure about, the legal stuff. Do they need to have an attorney? What sort of EMRs to use? How Novi, the platform that you've built
Yeah.
has it's a beautiful end-to-end solution. How would you describe the way that it comes together from that foundational piece and kind of has different layers that providers can avail of and add on depending on what they really need?
Well, and the beauty of Novi Society is that it's wherever you're starting in the industry. So if you're just starting, if you've been in practice for 20 years, we have a piece by piece system to where it meets you exactly where you are. And then all the steps within the software tell you how to grow from there. So if you're established and just want to switch over, we have the tools to grow and excel your practice. If you're just starting, we have the basic level training for everything that you need.
And Jen, I know you've got something you're going to add to that as well. Like, how would you describe the system? Basically, when you've been consulting with practices as well and hearing about those pain points, I'd
Yeah.
love to hear in your words how that comes together for you.
Yeah. So pain points, just like any, new business, is obviously, the first, what, 2 years of 2 years in practice. You're gonna know if you're gonna, pass or fail. But again, I think I really, really like to harp on the compliance side. I talked to another lady that's just getting started, so opposite of the 20-year in practice, this morning, and she said that she wished she would have found us sooner because she just paid an attorney $4,000 to create her protocols. And because we already have all the aesthetic protocols specific to each state, that would have saved her 4 grand,
Mm,
plus all of the other things that our service that our software has to offer. So I think one, getting those people that have been trained and didn't know what to do, those like I said, those 60 to 75% of people that have been trained in some sort of aesthetic service and never did anything with it, we can help with that. If you are just wondering if what you're doing is compliant or the way that you're running things, I will tell you, like, actually, you're doing great. You don't need us for anything. Um, or, yep, you're going to need to come over here because this is what's going on.
right. Okay. Hey, so a quick message. Don't get right back to the show. This episode is brought to you by Clinic Roar, my growth marketing agency that helps medical spas and aesthetic practices to scale sustainably with multi-channel marketing, with smart automation and real-world conversion strategies. Now, I know that might sound a little bit vague, and that's because growing your business isn't really a one-size-fits-all formula. Every practice is going to be different, and so should your marketing plan too. So at Clinic Roar, we offer a completely free marketing audit, a growth plan that's customized for you and for your business. This is going to include a full analysis of your current presence, your current marketing, your local competition, and also a roadmap, a growth plan designed to help you to attract more high quality patients and to increase your revenue and to grow your business. So if you want to scale with clarity and confidence, just head over to clinicgrower.com/schedule to book your free consultation. That's clinicgrower.com/schedule. Now back to the show. And you know what? We talk at Clinic Grower as well, just about, education when it comes to educating patients, but also in the industry, there's a lot of, I think, like you mentioned, whether they've been in the industry, they've been working in a practice for 20 years, or they're just about to open their own practice. Sometimes they just don't know what they don't know, right? There's so many tools and
Right.
technologies out there, and as you mentioned, there's so much compliance, there's continuing education. What do you feel like, where do you feel is the biggest gap or that initial kind of opening point where people realize, okay, I do need to take advantage of a platform that, as you mentioned, has the compliance and regulation and helps them to see around corners in 48 different states.
Right. And so what I would say to that is that the nothing like Novi exists, at least in the US, that actually puts all of those things together and then keeps up with the industry. So I personally think that what this is going to do to the industry is it it's going to spread like wildfire because we had, what was it, like 50 pre-registrations just waiting to get into this system. But it's not only for our providers. This is for the patient protection. This is for the medical director's protection. I mean, they all of and then even, vendors, um manufacturers, every industry piece we're putting together for you. We have national accounts with a insurance company to make sure that you've got the proper insurance. We help you get your EIN. If and those are all just the beginning stages. But um, one thing that we didn't mention is it's tier and a la carte pricing for the medical director coverage and software, and so you're only paying for what you're using. If you're there's that was one of the huge gaps and why people either didn't start or got discouraged and quit, these nurses that tried the aesthetic industry, is because it it's expensive. If you don't know, if you're paying an attorney $4,000 and then you're paying your medical director $800 a month and all you're doing is, let's say Botox to begin with, it's unattainable. And so that's one other thing that I love talking to these aesthetic nurses, because I am giving them something that is attainable for them.
Mm. I know that the platform as well, Ashlan, it transcends so many different levels of the industry. Talking a little bit about the what can be the starting point for a lot of providers, which is the certification. And I know that there's a number of events that you open up across the country as well. How do you find that those events are different? We've heard people talking in different groups about the experience, about being smaller class sizes. There's much more intimate experience. But would love to hear what your members and your students have been saying about the size of those classes. And then, from what I've heard, it basically can be a gateway into the ecosystem as well, where getting started can give them a real shortcut as far as all of the different components that the Novi Society provides.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, right now, and if you're in the industry in any aspect, you see pop up courses everywhere. Everyone is doing a course, but the issue is they're putting 40 to 80 people in a class, and that's no exaggeration. There isn't a nurse or doctor that can be trained with 80 people in a 12 9 to 12-hour day. It's just not possible. And so a lot of these providers are walking away feeling nervous, even more so than they were to even make that first step. So our events and training really hone in on that small group training with the best in the industry training. And we provide ongoing training as well. So in the aesthetic space, for any service that you're wanting, we really want to mentor you from start to finish, coupled with our software. We give you all of the tools to do that.
Awesome. Jen, anything that you'd like to add to that as far as the experiences that you've been creating by really working so closely with the providers at the events?
Yeah, and I would like to touch on the kind of the personalized mentorships that Ashlyn had just briefly mentioned. We do offer ongoing education. So regarding like online webinars, we can do certifications for, let's say I've got somebody, she is got her cosmetic injecting down, she's got her clientele built up, and she's ready to add a new revenue stream. So we would kind of discuss what is the next thing for, like, would you want to do microneedling? Do you want to do chemical peels? What product do you want to work with? All of those things. So those things are discussed before we determine what training and what certification she's going to get. And then we help her get that certification and then add that medical director coverage. So again, it doesn't just there's a lot of We offer medical director coverage. We offer, AI patient matching. We offer a payment system. All the things, like I said, all of those 3 or 4 or 5 systems, it truly is an all-in-one ecosystem that meets you where you're at.
Let's I want to break it down a little bit for that journey as well that people can walk along, because depending on again what stage that the business owner, the provider is at, there's so much value it seems to me that's associated with it, right down from the initial certification, the compliance as we mentioned here, across the entire nation, and a few things that you mentioned I think which are very interesting, and not sure how much Ashland can share on the show, but just about that, the AI, of course, right? So we're in 2026 at the time of the recording here, and you're really on the cutting edge of innovation when it comes to that AI patient matching. Can you talk a little bit about that and how that can help the Novi Society members as well? Because I know that our listeners are very interested in
Yeah.
everything AI, and there's so much that we're doing at Clinical with AI as well. But
She would
Ashlyn,
love to. This
yeah,
is
I
her
thought you might
baby.
be interested.
Yeah, AI is such a buzzword nowadays. And so I think people kind of group that in a couple different categories. But the way that I've built the software here on the patient side, not only are we using um, stored data from all of our providers and a cutting edge onboarding for patients, Novi is to patients a companion. They are talking and interacting with Novi, and that data is being fed into that patient matching at the very beginning of their journey. Once they've initiated that journey with the provider, the patient's journey doesn't stop there. And a lot of times, treatments fall short when it comes to providers and their relationship with their patients. We have the standard 2 week set-in for Botox. We have, no swelling, we've got these standards, but what does it actually look like internally? So I've developed a proprietary software where patients are actually able to have ongoing check-ins with Novi. Novi is actually able to read the elasticity in your skin, the progress day by day. Your health apps are integrated with Novi, all encompassing this wellness journey. So for the patient experience, it's fun, it's sticky. They're able to actually interact, but what they don't know is that data is actually being fed and curated to your provider for the optimal treatment next time. And it just continues to get better. So Novi really is a companion for the patients, but it's something that providers absolutely cannot pass up. They need Novi.
One thing you mentioned there, Ashland, as well, is sticky, which I'd love to just delve a bit into as well,
Yeah.
because we see time and again that in the marketing industry, for example, there's a lot of noise about running ads and getting those new patients in, which is very important. Every business has to have new customers, new patients. But a challenge for a lot of providers can be that they have breaks in the system where those new patients are coming in, but for different reasons, for varying reasons, retention rates can vary widely. That patient coming back for like at different practices, the process is very different from when they will follow up with the patient, when they should get them
Mhm.
back in for different treatments. Can you talk a little bit about how your technology really adds that stickiness and that opportunity to retain patients and increase their lifetime value essentially for the practice?
Absolutely. Well, and Novi does almost more than 50% of what the provider has been trying to do, and it really falls short, like you explained. There's many different aspects, but one of the reasons that Novi is sticky for both the patient and provider is the patient is going to want to check in and interact with this free interface for patients because that allows providers to be able to offer reward systems and discounts for checking in and answering these questions. The Novi in the back end really works hard for the provider. They're saying, my face is dehydrated. They're noticing facial scans that are abnormal to what they normally receive. They're going to recommend treatments that their provider specifically offers, hydrofacials, anything that can enhance their treatments. They're actually going to be able to see their timeline if they continue on this Novi journey and follow Novi's recommendations with what they should and shouldn't do. They're going to be able to see the difference, what their skin's going to be looking like without continuing with their provider, and they'll be able to see what it will look like with their provider.
And Ashley, does that also, how does that play into the overall treatment plan, for example? Is that something that
Yeah.
the feedback comes back and treatment plans are like, on the provider side? Or
Yeah, all of that feedback is curated specifically to the provider, and it analyzes it for the provider in such a way to enhance and treat better the next time. Different product recommendations. We aren't a one product shop. We have a curated marketplace like Jenna has mentioned. It's actually going to start recommending the provider to use certain products that might be better for that patient. So the marketplace with vendors, they're going to want a spot on our marketplace because our system's actually going to be recommending those products for the provider to use on the patient. So it overall enhances the journey of both.
that's all, what you mentioned there as well about the matching aspect. So we recently did at Clinic Grower a presentation on profit margins for practices
Mhm.
too. So with the ecosystem, is there direct correlation? Is there data available to the providers to help them with that, increasing the lifetime value, understanding which treatments to offer? And also, you mentioned kind of on a vendor relationship, a vendor matching, perhaps efficiencies that are available to your members also as part of the society and as part of the platform.
Yeah, so for providers, the analytics are nothing like we ever seen in the market. So everything, like you said, from the marketplace ROI, patient journey, it actually is going to show you a live update within your area, your zip code of how you stack up, how to better get ahead. What are your shortcomings? What are your areas of growth? What do you excel in? What to pour more money in? And that's just a few of them, but it calculates analytics like we've never seen before.
Jenna, it's super exciting. Everything in one system under one hood. And with so much power under the hood, how do you typically introduce or have that initial conversation with providers to try and simplify everything that Novi Society provides and your platform provides for practices?
Um, so again, I've been in the industry for years and years, and so the best thing to do for these providers is meet them where they're at and listen to where they think their holes are before I look into it and tell them. So they might think their holes are something totally different than what I'm going to tell them they are, but the journey would be to listen, to tell me what your struggles are, tell me where you think, you need help, and then let's look into those things. And I'm so, so, so excited about this because I have talked to so many nurses that were discouraged because something like this didn't exist, and they don't necessarily have time. If they're, nurses, they're on a 3-day schedule and they just wanted to do this in a little clinic, for a couple of days a week, to use their medical training, but they don't have time to put all the pieces together. And so I'm excited to help those people. I'm excited to help the people that got certified and had all that fire and energy and were so excited to use it, but then got discouraged because there was something, that they weren't comfortable using.
Mm.
The other thing I love, love, love about Novi is they are bringing the aesthetic industry back to um, the medical field. So we are, registered nurses and above level. These are medical procedures done by medical professionals, taught by industry leaders. Some of our trainers, a top 100 trainer. One of our other head trainers has been in aesthetics for 20 years. So your training, from beginning to end is going to be top notch, unmatched.
And obviously you're speaking to so many people right now, and what I really appreciate about what I've come to learn about your partnership is that with founders of so many great companies, understanding the pulse of the marketplace is so important. And I understand that you're speaking directly to the marketplace right now. What are some of those, you know, challenges and some of those gaps that you mentioned, and some of the top 3 to 5 perhaps things that people are most excited, providers are very excited about adopting the platform?
So number one thing I think is once you get trained, you have to have medical director coverage. In every state, you have to have a doctor that is willing to essentially lend their license to you to practice. And that is across the board what I have heard from aesthetic nurses that have been trained to gain, to find. And if they've been trained on one service, again, let's say they've been trained on toxin filler, cosmetic injecting, and they don't necessarily want to offer, laser and chemical peels and all the things right now, they can a la carte our system. So the very first roadblock that these nurses that get trained see is their medical director wants to charge them $1,000 a month, and then they want to take 30% of their profit. That's one of the platforms that I've seen. Well, that's pretty discouraging for somebody that is trying to build up their clientele and was just super energized and excited to get into this, what is a really, really fun and exciting industry. I mean, it's one of the fun sides of the medical field. So you get to make people happy, give them confidence, feel beautiful, and then to have that kind of breath knocked out of you after you get trained was I just couldn't deal with anymore. I'm like, gosh, we got to do it. We got to do something.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like you said, when you're making that transition, and I know a lot of your colleagues have been in the industry making that transition from different parts of healthcare to aesthetics, the excitement, the reward that comes from really changing people's lives, transformation, giving people newfound confidence. And so I'm really excited to, for our audience to learn more about what Novi Society and your platform, how it's really, I think, empowering providers to do that as well, to have everything centralized, to have everything tied together. Let me ask you, as you look, you've already, you've launched, you've got a kind of a roadmap as you're welcoming more members into Novi Society. What are, some of the ways in which people who are listening to the show can learn more about what you're doing, about Novi Society, and perhaps even, get a glimpse into how it can help their practice and break down what they might need to do to benefit most from being a member of Novi Society?
Yeah, so you can, we've got all the social medias. You can visit our website, novisociety.com. My preference, my favorite thing is just call me directly. I want to know where you're at, and I want to know, how we can help, and if we can help you. If we can, we're going to do it. If we can't, I'm going to tell you where to go. I'm going to tell you what you need either way.
Awesome. And we'll make sure to include details within the show notes here as well. Ashlan, what are some of the biggest takeaways that you really want providers to know about? If there was just one thing that from listening to the show today that would empower them to be able to make a change in their business.
Well, to make a change or to make a start. I think, you know, I hear conversations all the time about aspiring providers getting into aesthetics. And some of the things that I talk about just within our circle is they get so discouraged that they don't even start.
Right.
And that's upsetting because we have a turnkey solution. You call Jenna and you're covered same day. You
Right.
have the tools to do everything instantly. And
Right.
we've put in the work in the years to make sure that we've done that for you. So I would say if you're thinking about it, we have, we have the tools, we have the turnkey solution. I hate to hear those stories of, I used to want to be in aesthetics. It was just too hard, didn't know where to go, or I did, and it was confusing. Um, so yeah, I would say more aspiring providers, we have the solution for you.
Yeah. So again, the market's flooded with training. We know how many people that train month in and month out, and then again don't end up doing anything with it. So
1% success rate.
those are the yeah, those are the ones that need to call. If you are operating and you feel like you have a gut feeling that um something might be not right, or something there, you might have a hole or you might have a gap, call me. I'll let you know. If I don't know the answer, I know the people that can find out for you.
Well, one incredible offer, and one thing I didn't want to lose sight of while we're talking today is, as part of everything that I've learned about Novi Society, is the community that you're building here as well. And so, just wanted to ask you both, where do you see that going with the community that you're building by bringing business owners by bringing providers together to benefit from Novi Society?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously you want like-minded people, you want people in all walks of their industry profession. If you're, the smartest person in the room, you're not learning anything. So we want to make sure that we have these um injectors that are from all all different aspects, all different types. So the newer ones helping the older ones helping the newer ones even, because these newer guys, they might have a different technique. If you're in any of the, and I know you guys are, but if anybody listening is in any of the aesthetic groups on Facebook, they're really great, but you're not necessarily, you're not going to take medical advice from somebody who you don't actually know is a medical professional. And in ours, obviously, we're vetting them. We're making sure that they do have the medical director coverage. They do have the proper licensing certifications and all those things, which, by the way, it's what attract aesthetic medical directors to use our service, anyway. But you can just rest assured that you are actually getting advice and having conversations with your peers, your peers.
I think that, yeah, I think that's really important as well, Jenna, to kind of parlay on what you mentioned there, which is in an industry where it's been rapidly evolving, there's been a lot of change, is that mastermind effect that you're creating, but it is a vetted community. It's maybe not like super wide where just everybody jumps in, but there's a real process, there's real certification, accreditation, and there's real support for providers and for business owners who are really looking to grow their practice the right way.
Right. Exactly.
Well, as
The
we start
safe
to,
way.
sorry, go ahead, Jenna. What was that?
I said the safe way.
The safe
That's
way.
yes.
Correct. Correct. Well, as we start to wrap up the show for this episode, are there any other final thoughts that Jenna, Ashlan, you'd like to leave with our audience?
I mean, our what the one thing that I would say is that our platform, I love, the word ecosystem because it truly does bring everything together. But another thing I'd like to say is the trinity of um the aesthetic industry is going to be the doctor, the provider, and the patient. And we truly, truly do strive and build this system to make sure that all three layers were protected. So um, once you check out our website, talk to me, dive into kind of everything that we do, I really think you're going to be blown away with all of the layers of compliance, protection, liability, all the things that we have inside there to just bring peace of mind to anyone who's using our system.
Awesome. Ashlan, any thoughts on your side?
Yeah, I mean, I think aside from the provider and the medical director, patients also deserve a different journey.
Right.
Our providers were setting up for success, and I do know that providers in the industry, they are they're good at what they do. I think coupling with Novi Society as a provider, and connecting that patient experience. Patients have never experienced anything like this. So I really am hoping for patients to discover this as well, because I just think it'll change the way wellness and aesthetics work for the consumer.
And it's
Well,
fun.
and it is fun. I'm excited too because it really is. It ties together the, pardon what I'll say here, but kind of the boring but so important stuff, the compliance and the legal components and everything, but also the exciting aspect of that innovation, that development, how the technology and membership can actually help providers to really get ahead and move forward with pace and momentum in this ecosystem that you've created here as well, in an industry that continues to grow grow. And with that, there's always a need to do things the smart way and the safe ways you mentioned here as well. So I want to really thank you both for not only coming on the show today, but for creating this amazing platform. And I'm really excited to see how the platform grows and how it plays its part in impacting the industry.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Ashlan, Jenna, thanks so much for joining us on the show. Really appreciate it. We look forward to having you back again sometime to share more.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Hey, it's Brett here with Clinic Grower, and I've got a quick favor to ask. If you're loving the Aesthetics Growth podcast, go ahead and hit that like or hit that subscribe, more importantly, so that we can keep bringing you the best of the industry. I really want this to be impactful and the highest quality, and the best way that you can help us to do that is to hit that like, hit that subscribe. And remember, if you would like to be a guest on the Aesthetics Growth podcast, go to clinicgrower.com/podcast.
This is the Aesthetics Growth Podcast.